Order. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak and to be in compliance with the governor's executive order, this meeting is being conducted remotely. The public is able to view the meeting via live stream on YouTube. A link for the live stream is posted on the Freeholder website. To all participating in this meeting, please be mindful to put your microphone on mute until speaking. Additionally, please identify yourself by putting your name on the record each time before you speak. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Here.
Freeholder Johnson.
Here.
Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Mercado, absent. Freeholder Pomares.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Siebel.
Here.
We will omit this salute to the flag since we are conducting this meeting remotely. However, for all those affected and who have lost to COVID-19 virus, let us pause for a moment of silence. And at this time, let's remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who will certainly be missed. Moment of silence. Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Yes, through you, Mr. Vice President Chair. Just to recognize that Freeholder Commissioner Cooper has joined us.
Thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments?
And yes, Mr. Chair, there is a conference board meeting for August the 5th, 2020.
Thank you. Freeholders, commissioners, any questions? Are there any questions? This thing keeps going on mute.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So no questions. I have a motion from Freeholder Cooper and a second from Freeholder Graham to approve the transcripts.
And would you like me to take roll call?
Please, roll call.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado, absent. Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, Vice
Yes.
President Richardson. So
Yes.
moved.
Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. Vice President, there are none.
The next item is public comment. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to public comment. Today's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. However, since we are meeting remotely, the public had an opportunity to submit questions and comments for consideration. At this portion of the meeting, the clerk will read questions on agenda items only into the record at this time and state the names of the constituents. After all questions have been read, Madam Clerk, please continue.
Mr. Vice President, the first comment was submitted by Whitney Strube of Newark regarding Resolution 16. I wish to comment on item 16 containing contracting to provide sports equipment, game supplies for inmates at Essex County Correctional Facility. It is a positive thing to offer respite from the misery of Joe D's horrible jail where multiple people have died in 2020 alone, but no substitute for ending our county reliance on ICE money and incarceration as a business. We need a more profound rethinking of our complicity, that is, your complicity in the cruel and racist system of mass incarceration and immigrant detention. I also want to protest your new public comment policy. As a reminder, first, you move open public comment to the end of the meeting in a clear effort to stifle grassroots activism and interfered with business as usual at your meetings. Then when things moved online, you stopped allowing us to read our own comments out loud, further muffling our voices. Now you cut off intake at 5 p.m. the day before your meeting for no clearly defined reason. You could all criticize Trump, but do you consider this open democracy? It's a travesty. At Hudson County Freeholders meeting, people can call in, make comments, and the freeholders even respond. There's an actual back and forth. Yet in Essex County, this is apparently too much to hope for. I protest this, and I ask for written responses to the following questions. 1, who made the decision to restrict public comment to those received by 5 p.m. the day before the meeting? Why was the decision made? Do you consider this 3, do you consider this functional and subsistence democracy? I do not. In your ICE contract and allow at least the formal procedural semblance of democracy in Essex County. The next comment was submitted by Matt Dragon of West Orange regarding Resolution 17. I would suggest that written comments be subjected to a word count rather than time limit. It seems like 125 to 150 spoken words permitted is pretty standard for timing out written text. 130 times 3 minutes would allow for 390 words. So I suggested a hard word comment is, you can see that where that lands in the time limit. Thank you for Resolution 17, supporting the Senate version of the bills to decriminalize marijuana possession. With all the sponsors, it seems that I don't have to encourage you to vote for it, but I do want to highlight it because it's a very important bill at the state level, and I appreciate you drawing attention to it and calling for our legislators to pass it. The Senate version is also the stronger bill, with higher limits on what amount will be decriminalized, as well as lower civil fines. I would have liked to see it also addressed to the county prosecutor, asking him to stop prosecuting these offenses, which will soon no longer be criminally charged. People will continue to be stopped and charged under this law until the bill passes the Senate and is signed by the governor. Some of the downstream implications of those charged could be dire, including being swept up into ICE detention in our very own jail. As you likely saw, a prisoner of ICE was beaten by ICE agents at JFK when he refused to be deported because his deportation has been ordered stopped by a federal judge. ICE response to his resistance to his illegal deportation was to beat him to the point that he needed medical treatment and then quickly deport him under the covers of darkness. Tuesday, as a story about the first illegal deportation attempt surfaced. Our county made almost $10 million off the system in 2018, and we could likely save money overall if we didn't have to house these prisoners. We need to seriously explore ending this contract, and we will do. And while we do, every dime we're making needs to be spent on Joe D's prisoners, your prisoners, our prisoners, my prisoners. We are all responsible for their treatment and well-being. Thank you. The final comment for agenda items was submitted by Kathy O'Leary of Pax Christi, New Jersey, regarding Resolution 17. Dear Board of Commissioners, I'm commenting on Resolution number 17. I commend this board for considering such a resolution, and I urge you to vote in favor of it. I also commend you for your recent resolution on private prisons. It appears that this board has taken a harder look at mass incarceration and the role that local and county governments play in perpetuating this insidiously unjust, oppressive system. However, I urge you to continue digging deeper into this issue. If you did, you will find that people that you incarcerate for ICE enter the criminal justice system for the same offenses that you're seeking to mitigate for native-born citizens. It is not just undocumented immigrants who are in ICE detention for marijuana and related offenses. It is also legal permanent residents who can be placed in ICE detention for charges that are years or even decades old. This is not due to a new iteration of policies under the Trump administration. This was made law under the Clinton administration. So as much as you're trying to reduce the number of people caught up in the mass incarceration system, you cannot avoid the role that you play in perpetuating this very system that when you contract with ICE. Further, you're behaving no better than the private prisons that you condemn in one of your recent resolutions. So there will be no justice until the contract with ICE is ended and until you cease seeing all the people you incarcerate as children of God, rather than as units from which profit is derived. Mr. Vice President, that includes all comments submitted for agenda items.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, please ensure that this information is relayed to the administration for the appropriate response. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please ensure that this information is relayed to the administration for the proper response.
Will do, Mr. Vice President.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Mr. Vice President, we have none.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Mr. President, we have none.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances, resolutions on second reading and public hearings this afternoon?
Yes, Mr. President, I just have to make sure that we have 6 commissioners. Council, could you check for me? I believe we do.
I do see 6, and Freeholder Cooper, her screen is up, but she's not there. But we do have 6.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Would you like me to read the ordinance, or?
Yeah, you can read it into the record at a later time.
And would you like the administration to explain?
Please. Now, wait a minute. Ordinance number 0-2020-00013.
Yes, Mr.
I hereby
Vice
declare, please, Mr.
I'm good, Mr. President. Go ahead.
Freeholder Richardson, you're on the right track. Yeah, open the public.
Yep, I hereby declare the public hearing on ordinance number 0-2020-00013 open. If there is any member of the public who email comments for or against this ordinance, we will read it into the comments into the record and respond to you in writing. Let the record reflect no comments were received. Mr. McInerney, do you have any questions or comments?
You're on mute, Frank.
I'm sorry. No, I do not.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio, any questions or comments?
No.
Freeholders. Freeholders, any questions or comments? Okay, freeholders, I have a motion from Freeholder Cooper and a second from Freeholder Graham to close the public hearings on ordinance number 0-2020-00013. Do I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance?
Yes.
I don't see Freeholder Cooper. So let's move it, Freeholder Johnson. Can I get you to step in for Freeholder? Oh, there she is. Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
So I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk. Roll call.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Palmares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a request from the administration to move to resolution number 16, which is with the Department of Corrections. Please read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, please explain.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you to you and to the board for allowing us to make this change. Director Ortiz had a conflict, and I'm going to ask him to come and just address this item briefly regarding recreational supplies for the facility. Director Ortiz. He's on. You might be on mute, Director. Well, we'll hold up the board. I'll go ahead and address the issue. This is a extension for not the original contract was $100,000 for 2 years. We spent $44,000. The money comes from the Prisoner Benefit Fund, which is a trust account. The vendor is from Saraville, has 10 employees. Completed the aspirational goal form, and this supplies equipment and supplies for the detainees at the facility, both ICE and non-ICE detainees.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Paulovecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
A quick question. Mr. Jackson, what's the Prisoner Benefit Fund?
The Prisoner Benefit Fund is as it's sort of aptly named, Mr. Paulovecchio, it's designed to provide for recreational supplies, educational supplies for the detainees. It's funded from, it's self-funded. It's funded from fines that the detainees may have paid as part of their court procedure. Also, 10% of all the profits from the proceeds from the commissary go to this fund, and it provides for those items on an ongoing basis.
Thank you.
Mr. McInerney, do you have any questions or comments?
This basically held in trust accounts, or
Yes, it is a
like a
trust account.
dedicated? Right, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Freeholders, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Graham and a second from Freeholder Johnson. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes. Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Palmares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So move. Mr. Vice President, I'd like to note for the record that for the approval of transcript item And also the ordinance O 2020-0013. For the record, be it noted that President Commissioner Gill will be recorded as absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, Madam Clerk, we will now move to Resolution 5, which are from the Department of Public Works. Please read them into the record at a later date. Mr. Jackson, please explain the resolutions.
Mr. Vice President, David Antonio from the Department of Public Works is here to address items 1 through 5.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 1 is a contract award to 23 responsive and responsible bidders to provide salt screening, snow plowing, and hauling of services for beginning October 1st of this year through September 30th of 2023, not to exceed $10 million. Item number 2 is supplemental to item number 1 because it provides for an additional 4 vendors to provide the same services. The department felt it was important to add additional vendors to the roster of total salters and plowers and snow haulers available to us in case of drastic or severe winter and ice situations. I guess I can move on to item number 3, which is also related. This has to do with awarding of the 2 lowest responsive and responsible bidders to furnish and deliver the rock salt. That's going to be a 2-year agreement, not to exceed $2 million. This year, it's one of the vendors. The primary vendor is going to be Morden Salt Company, and the secondary vendor is going to be Chemical Equipment Laboratories out of Pennsylvania. Item number 4 has to do with Essex County's need to perform environmental engineering services for the remediation of underground tanks located on certain county properties, one of them being Branchbrook Park, the other one being at the Fleet Management Services building located in Cedar Grove, and one at Wheat Creek Park. We have with us Ms. Akta Patel from ACOM, the selected consultant. I believe she's on the line with us, and I would like her to speak and introduce herself and the company and something about the scope of work. Akta, are you there?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. This is Ekta Patel from AECOM. So this contract is for doing the environmental engineering services for 3 sites. One of the sites is Branchbrook Park, Fleet Management Site, and the Wheat Creek Park. So the scope of work is to do site investigation and remediation in accordance with the NJDEP, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection site remediation guidance document. And there is a regulatory deadline that we need to meet. So the deadline is May 2021. And we will be doing some field work, collecting some groundwater monitoring data, and analyze the data and prepare the deliverables for the NJDEP submission.
Thank you, Akta. Item number 5 pertains to the Department of Public Works procurement for a robotic total station and associated software. A total station, by way of background, is an electronic and optical instrument used for surveying and is used in the building construction industry. Robotic total station will allow the operator to control the instrument from a distance via a remote control. This eliminates the need for an assistant staff member to operate the retroflector and allows only one person to do the work of what's typically done by 2 or 3 folks. This is a tool that's going to be used by the engineering staff located in our Office of the County Engineer.
Mr. Palavecchio, any questions?
Yeah, briefly, just on items 1 and 2, the snow plowing contracts. That will be, the two contracts together will be the full complement of service providers for the next year.
Yes, sir. That would be, item 1 and item 2 would give us a full complement of, 37? Of 27 total contract.
Okay, and are they called, obviously as needed, but are they called based on geography and the amount of snow, et cetera?
So, correct. It has to do with the particular geography of those different parts of the county. Has to do with snowfall amount, snowfall duration. There's quite an art to this, but yeah. So, 27 total vendors, and depending on the need, decisions are made during the storm, during the event, and different vendors are called in or not called in depending on the requirement.
Thanks, Mr. Antonio. Thank you.
Mr. McInerney, any
I don't
questions
have
or
any
comments?
questions. None.
Freeholders, any questions or comments?
Yes, this is Freeholder Cooper. I have a question for item number 2. I want to make sure I got it right. So for items 1 and 2, we're approving a list of vendors. There's no individual contractual amount. We'll pay them if you call them for services, and then they bill. Is it a standard hourly rate for them?
That is correct. It is an hourly rate that's bid on, and it varies by vendor and the kind of vehicle they're providing for that storm. It's all broken out in a spreadsheet.
Okay, all right, thank you.
This is Freeholder Richardson. I have one question. I think it was number 4 where you talked about the robotic station and the fact that it would allow one person to do the job of 3 or 4. Was that correct?
To collect certain survey points and survey data, the traditional way is one of engineers has to go out there with another person, and between 2 or 3 folks, one might watches the theolite, another guy holds up the reflectimeter, or a third person does that as well, and they collect data points. The robotic station will make it more efficient that instead of 3 engineers going out together, 1 engineer can go out, do that job, while the other 2 engineers could do other work, push them up to do other work besides carrying a reflectimeter for a surveyor.
Thank you.
And Mr.
Freehold-
Vice President, just for the record,
Yes.
that was number 5, not 4.
Number 5, sorry. Yep, thank you. Freeholders, I have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freeholder Luciano to take resolutions 1 through 5 as one. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Ricardo, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President is absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 6, which is from the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. Please read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Vice President, this is a 24-month contract extension option with McCloskey Mechanical Contractors for our Parks Department to provide for HVAC services for all of our park facilities except for the zoo, which has its own contract. And the amount is not to exceed $328,700.
Mr. Polavecchio, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders, any questions or comments? Hearing none. I have a motion from Freeholder Luciano and a second from Freeholder Pomares. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 7 and 8, which are for the office of the prosecutor. Please read them into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Vice President, as you noted, 7 and 8 are related. The item 7 is a resolution approving participation in the state federal grant program to provide for services for the sexual assault response team, specifically the forensic nurse examiner engineer program. So item 7 is a participation resolution, and item 8 is a resolution for budget insertion in the amount of $116,175. Which requires a $29,044 match by the county, which we match by salary, wages, and fringe benefits. And it's continuing to operate this much needed service to hospital sites for pediatric victims in particular, and the cost of the nurse managing consultant is included.
Thank you. Mr. Parvecchio.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Jackson, that's just an in-kind match, no cash match on top of that, right?
That is correct, Mr. Parvecchio.
Right, thank you.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders. Questions or comments? Hearing none. I have a motion from Freeholder Pomares and a second from Freeholder Siebel to take resolutions 7 and 8 as one. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, let's move to resolutions 9 and 10, which are from the Division of Senior Services, and please read them into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson. I think you're muted, Mr. Jackson.
Sorry about that. Mr. Vice President, Director Maurice Brown is here to address items 9 and 10.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice President and fellow Freeholder Commissioners. My name is Maurice Brown, Director of Senior Services. And number 9, if you remember at the last meeting, the $273,568 was inserted into our senior service budget. And those 4 agencies that you see, which are Krill, Focus, Life Management, and North Ward Center, were the only 4 agencies that put in for those additional dollars that came in from the state. Number 10, however, is monies, the CARES Act that we have received from the state through the federal government, and also the FFRCA, which is for nutrition. And that's the breakdown. What you're looking at is the breakdown of the agencies that we sent out. We sent out questionnaires on whether they could use this money and how they could use this money for the coronavirus pandemic. And these were the agencies that responded: Krill, Focus, and the Jewish Community Center for home delivered meals. You see the breakdown there. If you want to know why Krill is so high, it's $691,896. It's because they're feeding about 900 meals per day. Focus is doing about 400 per day, and JCC is doing approximately 100 to 150. And the other organizations have their various programs, and that's how we broke down the monies.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio, any questions or comments?
No, no questions. Thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
Just that this resolution is part of the freeholder schedule that we've been keeping track of all the monies that are coming into the county with regard to funding for COVID-19 expenditures. So this has already been recorded and updated on that schedule.
Thank you. Freeholders, any questions or comments? Hearing none. I have a motion from Freeholder Sebo and a second from Freeholder Cooper to take resolutions number 9 and 10 as one. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 11, which is a budget insertion for Youth Service Commission, and read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, please explain. You're on mute again, sir.
I gotta learn. Give me about 10 tries and I'll do it. Mr. Martinez is here to explain this one, Mr. Vice President. He was supposed to be there, but I'll go through this. This is through the program. It's the amount of $1,565,806. The funding provides services for at-risk youth and court-involved youth. The grant is allocated as follows: $515,661 to family court services. The state community partnership gets $994,595 for program services and $55,550 for program management.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Polavecchio, any questions or comments?
No comments.
Mr. McInerney?
No, no questions.
Freeholders, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Cooper and a second from Freeholder Graham. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Pomares, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 12, which is from the Division of the Hospital Center. Please read them into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Vice President, Director Del Gaudio is here to address this item.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice President. Frank Del Gaudio, Director of the Essex County Hospital Center. This is a resolution seeking permission to utilize the competitive contracting process to procure provider pharmacy services. This contract will expire on January 1st, and we are seeking your approval on this because things have changed. This bid specification is probably 15 years old, and it only asks for a discount on the average wholesale pricing on the pharmaceuticals. So many things have evolved over the years, including an electronic medical administration record, the provision of new medication carts, the provision of an emergency Pyxis-type locker system that has all been provided by the vendor free of charge. In all fairness, these items have to be specified in a new process, which we ask for price, obviously, and these other factors that need to be built into the specification. That's what this resolution is requesting.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Graham and a second from Freeholder Johnson. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Pomares. Absent. Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 13, which is from the Division of Community Health Services, which we will read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Vice President, Ms. DeGracia from the Community Office of for Health and Rehab is here to address this item. Colette, are you there? She should be there.
Look like a lot of people abandoned you today.
Actually, some of them were actually on mute. I think. Make sure I'll unmute some people. Mate, can you check and see?
I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, I think I was on mute. Good afternoon. This is Colette DeGrazia. I'm the new alcohol program monitor with the Office of Addiction, and I'm here today for the contract approval for our innovation grant, Reach for Recovery. The organization that's collaborating with us for this program is Integrity House, and on the phone we also have Robin Shorter and Tara Rogers from Integrity House. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Colette, maybe if you could just give a brief overview of the program, how it works for the board.
Sure. So this is a new grant that we're working on. The goal is to provide mobile outreach services throughout Essex County. So right now we're working on reaching out to police departments and kind of coming up with a calendar and schedule for the places that we will be providing the services and where our stops will be, but they'll be located all around Essex County, and we'll be providing a variety of services through Integrity House.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Mr. McInerney.
No comment, no question.
Freeholders, any questions or comments?
Yes, this is Freeholder Cooper. Mr. Jackson, quick question. On the memo that's attached to this item number 13, in the body under the introduction, it talks about the mobile outreach services is $263,000 and Integrity House is going to receive $205,000. Is there money remaining that we will have available? If so, what are we going to do something different with it?
That's a good. I believe I don't want to answer. I'll find the answer and get back to you, Freeholder. I believe we're able to keep some money for administration, but I will get back to you on that question.
All right, perfect. Thank you. That's what I was wondering, but I want to make sure I got the right answer. Thank you.
Any other questions for the board? Hearing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freeholder Luciano. Madam Clerk, roll call. You're muted, Madam Clerk.
I'm just trying to keep up with Administrator Jackson.
Don't do that.
Through you, Mr. Vice President Richardson, I'm going to take this vote, but for the purpose of this record, we'll recognize that Freeholder Commissioner President Gill has joined us. Okay, Freeholder Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado absent. Freeholder Commissioner Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and I will move back to my seat, and the floor is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Vice President Richardson, and thank you for stepping in for me on short notice. Deeply appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for getting us halfway through the meeting by the time I came on. Moving to resolution number 14.
Yes, Mr. President. This is a new, not a new lease, but a renewal of a lease for 261 University Avenue to provide for 52 parking spaces for judges. It's $200 per space for the 2-year period. This is coming out of operating funds, and the amount not to exceed $249,000. Again, a 2-year renewal from January 1, 2020 to December 31, 2021.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
Did you say this was a new lease or?
It's one that we've had for a long time. We're just renewing. Just right now, we're just renewing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
title
yeah.
for you. That's right.
Right, but yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, freeholders. Questions or comments? Okay, I have a motion from Freeholder Luciano and a second from Freeholder Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado absent. Freeholder Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper. Absent. Freeholder Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 15, which I believe has been withdrawn. Correct. Okay. Resolution 16.
We already covered that one, Mr. President. We moved that one up earlier.
Thank you. Moving to 17 through 34, which I believe are all Board of Freeholder resolutions. Let's move to resolution number 17, resolution supporting the passage of the new Senate bill number 2535, which provides criminal and civil justice reform associated with certain marijuana and hash offenses. If your preference, Freeholder Johnson, we can read it into the record at a later time, if that's okay. And I'll turn the floor over to Freeholder Johnson.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I'm sorry. Commissioner.
Through you, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak to this resolution. And I would also like to thank my colleagues, Vice President Richardson, Freeholders Commissioners Cooper, Luciano, and Graham for your support and co-sponsoring this resolution. This resolution supports Senate Bill number 2535 and urges the State Judiciary Committee to pass and adopt it into law. Simply put, the bill would decriminalize the possession and distribution of less than 1 pound of marijuana for adults. Let me be clear, the bill would not make marijuana legal, but violators will receive written warnings or fines rather than jail time for a simple possession or a first-time offense. In New Jersey alone, nearly 1 million people in the last 30 years were arrested on marijuana charges, giving our state one of the highest marijuana arrest rates in the nation. Although our groups use marijuana although other groups use marijuana at the same levels, unfortunately, people of color are targeted and taken to jail 3.5 times the rate of their white counterparts, showing disparity. Furthermore, this bill will provide an array of civil protections against discrimination down the road regarding employment, mortgage loans, and public housing, to name a few. Currently, marijuana criminalization disappropriately harms young people, poor people, and people of color, and we must ensure these communities are not left behind. So today, I am co-sponsoring this resolution and I am pushing the agenda forward, which provides social justice reforms, which will reduce the legal consequences associated with marijuana offenses, as well as rise awareness of the availability of expungement relief. I trust the board will support this resolution with your affirmative vote. Thank you again for your time.
Mr. President?
Yes, Commissioner Siebel.
Freeholder Siebel. I had asked that my name be included on this resolution, but it was not. Perhaps all the other freeholders would like to join in and make it by acclamation. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President?
No issue. Yes.
So I failed to respond to this in time, but I too would like to support my colleague's
Yes.
resolution to be listed on that. If you do decide to
I'm
go
good.
acclamation,
I'm on a
fine.
Zoom
Thank you.
call.
Okay.
Okay.
Defer to Freeholder Johnson if he's okay.
Yes, I am, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you to my colleagues for supporting this bill also.
Thank you for the resolution.
Good resolution. Do we have any additional comments, freeholders? Okay, hearing or seeing none. Freeholders, we have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freeholder Siebel. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Johnson,
Yes.
My secret.
Freeholder Cooper,
Grab it.
yes. And I'm working on calling you both titles, Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado,
He's absent today.
absent. Freeholder Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes, and we're still freeholder till January 1st.
okay. I'm Freeholder President Commissioner Gill.
Yes.
And through you, Mr. President, I'm hedging my bet. That's why I'm using both titles. Unless other,
I think it's good. I mean, I plan to use the title now. I know the law calls for it by January 1st, but in order to get used to I'm just trying to get used to, we've been using that title for some time, so just want to try to start using the new term, which I think is more appropriate, as fast as possible.
Through you, Mr. President, I just want everyone to be aware of noises around the mic. We can hear it, so if you're shuffling paper or anything like that, just be aware of that, or keep your mic muted if you're not talking.
Through you, Mr. President. Through
Yes.
you, Mr. President. We're gonna need some new duds then, because we're still wearing freeholder duds.
I'll defer to the board. I mean, we can come to this during the freeholder comment session, because I have a couple of other issues that I wanted to ask the board and the clerk about, but agreed. 18 through 31 are commendations and memoriam resolutions. Okay, hearing or seeing no questions, I have a motion from Freeholder Cooper and a second from Freeholder Graham to take resolutions 18 through 31. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Commissioner Sebald,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado absent. Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill,
Yes.
and Freeholder Commissioner Pomares.
Yes.
So moved.
Just a quick question for Vice President Richardson. Where was Frank's Pizzeria located? Or is it still open?
It's on Bloomfield Avenue, man, right between Mount Prospect and Clifton.
Oh, okay.
Used to be, the Dairy Queen used to be next door.
Yes, okay. I know which place you're talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Just curious.
Yep.
Anytime I see
It's still there, though. It's still there.
Yeah. Anytime I see a
Best
pizzeria,
pizza in town.
it gets my attention.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Moving to resolution number 32. Freeholder Pomares.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to ask my colleagues' support. This is a Senate bill. It's already passed through the Senate unanimously, which is probably a miracle in and of itself. That really relates to a very important topic. It's bipartisan in nature, and it's in honor of Commander John Scott Hannon. He's a former Navy SEAL who served honorably for 23 years and lost his life due to implications of mental illness. And the bill, in short, proposes to bolster the VA so that mental health workforce to serve more veterans by giving the VA direct hiring authority for more mental health work professionals, offering scholarships to mental health professionals to work at veteran centers, placing at least one suicide prevention coordinator in every VA hospital. It also aims to improve rural veterans' access to mental health care by increasing the number of locations at which veterans across the VA telehealth services and offerings grants to the VA and organizations that provide mental health services and alternative treatment to veterans. I can speak personally, not through service, but through family and friends who have served. And this is a big issue. And I think everyone here recognizes that over the years, the invisible injuries that veterans suffer are, just as bad or worse, perhaps, than the physical ones that we can observe. So I'd like to ask my colleagues to support this. This should be going through the House now that it's passed the Senate, and we'd like to, I'd like to see if we can show some support for this, because I know that everyone here knows or has veterans in their family or in their network of friends or loved ones and in their communities. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. President, could you please include me, Mr. Palmeris, if you don't mind?
And Mr. President, I had asked that I be included on this resolution, and I think that it ought to be by acclamation.
Mr. President, I have no objection modifying it to acclamation. If all are in favor, I'd be delighted to have it that way. If that's what the board chooses, I'd be delighted to entertain it.
No
Does
issue.
everyone agree?
Yes.
Excellent. And I have a motion.
Thank you.
Take it by acclamation. I have a motion from Freeholder Primaris and a second from Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Commissioner Palmares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Moving to resolutions, number 33. Madam Clerk, do you want to speak to 33? It's not in the packet.
I'm sorry.
I can take care of it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
33 is a resolution in support of an application for the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of Pompton Avenue, which is a State Route 23, and Claremont Avenue in Verona. So it's just joining in the Township of Verona's request for this, a request for support.
So, so this was a resolution that was passed. Thank you for reminding me, Mr. Parlavecchio. This, and just Madam Clerk, the information was not in the, just so you're aware for follow-up, that the information and follow-up was not in the documents sent to me. And Freeholder Luciano, I don't know if you want to speak to this at all.
Yes, thank you, Freeholder President Gill. This particular resolution that's located, actually the location is located on a state road, which, you know, just to inform the freeholders and the administration, obviously we have no jurisdiction on the state road, but it's close to the corner of the intersection of a county road, which would be Bloomfield Avenue. And the municipality has passed unanimously 5-0, a non-binding resolution, that's the Township of Verona, in support of this. And they are now passing it along to the county with the hopes that with the municipality, the county, and writing our state legislators in the 26th legislative district, we could get support from the Department of Transportation to put this traffic signal up. Believe it or not, there's quite a few amount of businesses that would be impacted in a positive manner if this traffic signal would go up. It would actually allow for a left-hand turn, and it also would increase pedestrian safety. I know that one of our county facilities that's pretty close to this location is Kip's Castle. While we haven't really had much foot traffic there recently with COVID-19, it would just look good if we also considered supporting such a traffic signal. Clearly, we care about the financial impact, what it would cost the municipality and the county. But it's my understanding that if the state signs off on this and we support it, that the business owners in the general vicinity that would benefit from the traffic light would pick up the cost of the traffic signal. And that being said, as the district freeholder that represents this area, I know the location well, and I'm in full support of passing a non-binding resolution and supporting the municipality in trying to get this approved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Field Luciano. Just for Administrator Jackson, what would be the next? This is a state road, so that the township has passed a resolution. We're going to pass a resolution saying we support this. What would the next step be? Is an application then goes to the state that?
The local engineer will be sending a document down to the state DOT for them to do an investigation and looking into whether or not the intersection meets the criteria for a light.
Okay. So the town and the county says we support it. Now at this point in time, the decision rests with the state.
That is correct, Mr. President.
Through you, Mr. President, if it'd be helpful to you, Freeholder Luciano, please add my name.
Yeah, we can do this by acclamation if everyone is
Sure.
okay with it.
Yes, let's do it through acclamation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, great. So on that one, I'm gonna move resolution 33 and seconded by Freeholder Luciano and roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner John, Freeholder Commissioner Graham,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado absent, Freeholder Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I'm going to hold on resolution 35.
Yes. So we're going to withdraw it from this agenda,
Please.
or is that the correct process, Counselor?
You can withdraw it. Which one? 34 or 35?
Resolution number 30. I'm going to withdraw number 35.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to resolution number 34, which is a support resolution for the Essex Hudson Greenway. This is a project that we have spent, both as a county and I have spent some time over the years trying to advance and work on. It's a project that will be an 11-mile stretch of outdoor recreation space that will start along an old Conrail rail track that essentially starts in Montclair, goes into Belleville, Bloomfield, into Newark, and eventually would connect all the way to Jersey City. It has the potential to be very much similar to the High Line in New York City, and a real gem, and I believe premier project for the county of Essex. So this is a support resolution for that project. I believe we have actually passed, prior boards have passed support resolutions in the past supporting this project. It's had some different names over the years. It was called the Iron and Ice Trail at one point. Is now called the Essex Hudson Greenway. It is supported by many organizations statewide. The New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition, Sierra Club, many environmental and open space organizations have been working on this for many years. And there's a real, the holdup has been up to this point, the ability to actually purchase the right of way, the actual railway itself. And there now is a real opportunity for an organization called OSI, which is the Open Space Institute, which is a very serious organization, to actually purchase, after many, many years, to actually potentially purchase the right of way and for this project to come to fruition. We've had very good conversations with our county executive, his chief of staff, obviously Mr. Jackson, others on the team about this. Still a long way to go, but I think this is something, this resolution, which really, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Parlavecchio and Mr. McInerney, is really just an expression of support. You know, we still have a lot more in terms of financing and things like that to work out, but this is needed and requested to put on the record so the organizations that are interested in purchasing the track can start to move forward. But I don't think it binds us to too much other than being a very broad statement of support for the project itself.
That's
Mr.
correct. It's not a commitment to any type of financing or anything, any other fiscal commitments. It is a representation of support for the project, though, overall support of the project.
Mr. President, that's correct. We did go through a couple drafts of this just to make sure that it did not commit the county to any funding, and that's for the record at this point. That doesn't say it's not going to happen, but at this point, clearly, the county is not in a position, given the status of the budget and reduction of revenues this year, to make any commitment, beyond our operating budget.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, this is an outstanding project. And this too, I think we ought to do by acclamation and hope that someday in the near future, it really does happen. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may comment on it?
Yes.
So thank you for bringing this to the table. I think it should be done by acclamation. I think it's important that we support it. I'll speak not only as a freeholder commissioner, or whatever you want to call us today, but also as the chairman of the Morris Canal Greenway in Bloomfield. So for several years, I've been involved heavily in the formation with your support, and I greatly appreciate it, to make Bloomfield, where I reside, our 5-mile stretch of the Morris Canal footprint relevant. And it's a statewide effort to, as it goes across the 102-mile stretch, to make that into a viable greenway. I'm happy to see this come because this intersects the Morris Canal Greenway here in Bloomfield and probably at other locations as well. So I think this only adds to the open space efforts and the greenways, which are more and more trending in local communities. And inevitably, this one, like the Morris Canal Greenway, will serve as connectors to smaller greenways and connectivity like we have here in Bloomfield to municipal parks, to athletic fields by the Board of Education throughout different towns. Also to environmental projects and historic sites. And that's exactly what it does in our town. And I have no doubt that it could also connect to county parks as well. So I applaud your efforts with this, support it, hope we do it by acclamation. And I think these efforts should be of paramount importance to the board with respect to open space.
Thank you. No issue. I'm hoping we can do it by acclamation.
Absolutely.
No issue.
I agree.
And if you haven't, I would encourage. I'm sure the clerk can set it up through the leaders of the some of the nonprofit leaders if any freeholders interested in getting more up to speed on the components of the project, they're willing and ready to meet. And in fact, maybe Madam Clerk, what we'll do is maybe we'll have them come to a meeting as a topic of discussion, which we probably should have done today.
Okay. Will do, Mr. President.
Okay.
If I may just add something, I'm very familiar with all the work that freeholder Carlos Pomares has been doing in terms of this project. So I'm really delighted that everyone is in agreement that we proceed with something that really needs to be accomplished. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, moving to, I will move that resolution. Do we have a second?
I'm happy to second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. Freeholder Pomares, second by Freeholder Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Cooper. Absent.
Yes.
Okay. Freeholder Commissioner Cooper says yes. Freeholder Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Mercado, absent. Freeholder Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
So moved. Freeholder Commissioner, I believe I called everyone.
Reports of board committees. Legislative reports, written communication, unfinished business, new business. Oh, on our unfinished business, Freeholder Luciano.
Freeholder President Gill, just written communication. I believe this might be a good time for us to discuss an email we received. I know the administration is aware of it, but for the freeholders that aren't aware of what I'm talking about, we received an email from a woman who represents the staff over at the Essex County Hospital Center, and the letter of intent was for the county administration and the freeholders to consider giving some kind of merit pay or hazardous work conditions pay to those at the hospital center that spent months, working under the conditions of COVID-19. They referenced in the letter that they sent to the freeholders and to the administration that similar pay was awarded to psychiatric hospitals in New Jersey and New York of similar size and of similar conditions. So, being we had this pandemic that was out of control for a couple of months here in not just our state, but in our county and in our county facility, they did have a lot of COVID-19 patients that tested positive. And they also had some staff members that tested positive, one of which I believe passed away. If there was a correlation or relationship, I don't know. I was not, I'm not a medical doctor, but the request came to the freeholders. I thought it was worth discussing, as obviously none of us turn our back on first responders, especially under the circumstances. And if we could just maybe include Robert Jackson, our administrator, I don't know if he's aware of this request, and see if we could just start a healthy discussion. I think one way or another, the letter that was sent to us definitely deserves a response. Thank you.
Freeholder Luciano, I think maybe another meeting would be good. This is probably not the forum to have an employment discussion that's as sensitive as this, but certainly to open the discussion for a future meeting. Certainly with Mr. Jackson.
Courtney, President. Freeholder President, I would agree. I thank Freeholder Luciano for bringing the topic up. I too did receive the email, and I was curious about, I have a whole list of questions from reading that email, but I agree with Michael that this is probably, we need to schedule a separate meeting to have that discussion, you know, since it's a personnel related item. Thank you.
Mr. President, Courtney Gassion, I would also concur with Freeholder Council that it is not appropriate for open session. But I will just add that this request had been submitted to the administration previously. There was a response that was provided to this union, but that's certainly something that we can discuss further when we have a follow-up meeting.
You're muted, Mr. President.
You want to take the lead on the follow-up, Freeholder Luciano?
Yes, I think what I'll do is I'll have a discussion with the clerk, Deborah Davis Ford, tomorrow. In the meantime, maybe tomorrow morning, she can speak with the county administrator or county attorney, Courtney Gassion, to just get us as much information as possible and distribute that to the freeholders, so that we know, even just going into this discussion, what might have been responded from the county administration to these folks before we even start the dialogue. You know, again, being it came to us, I thought it was only fair that we openly discuss it, but I completely understand that it's a personnel issue and, you know, would either, you know, would have to convene in closed session or at another meeting scheduled. So I'm fine with that. I will follow up, and I would ask through you, President Gill, that if I could ask Deborah Davis Ford to follow up with the administrator and the attorney tomorrow, just so that we have all information surrounding this.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. We have an email that we have a pretty basic question from an employee. How will the answer to that question be communicated back to the board? It's not a hard, I mean, it's not a hard question. I appreciate that it's a personnel matter, but it's a pretty straightforward question.
Right, and as Ms. Gassion noted earlier, we did respond to the union when he asked this question before, and we're happy to share that response with the board.
Okay.
And we will, and also very happy to sit down if there's a discussion, further discussions on the issue to have further discussions, but excuse me, but as noted, I think a different session would be appropriate.
Okay. So the original response will be shared with the clerk, and the clerk will distribute that to the board?
Correct. I think that's what Freeholder Luciano would request it, and that's fine.
Okay. Just another question from that email. How many active county employees did we lose to COVID?
Are you asking, Mr. President, how many deaths there were of county employees?
Yes. How many deaths?
Yeah, if you give me 1 second, I can get that for you. Four total deaths of county employees.
And Courtney, if you could just, the department.
2 were from the prosecutor's office and 2 were from DFAB. And there is a total, as of today, of 231 confirmed positive employees from Essex County.
So in that email, it said that there was a nurse who died.
So I do believe that there was the nurse that the union may have been referring to was a per diem nurse. So that is not considered based on the list that we keep, how we track it as a county employee. That per diem nurse is not formally a county employee. They work for the hospital center on a per diem basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and again, I'm not maybe there's two different communication. I don't think the communication that was sent to me was from the union. This was I don't think it was on behalf of the union, but I could be wrong on that. I'm referencing another employee who sent an email, I think, to all of us. But I guess I guess there's two concurrent.
There was a similar request from the union as well.
Okay, so I just want to be clear on that.
That's Janessa.
Are there any other per diem nurses who passed away due to COVID?
Not that I'm aware of. I'd have to confirm with Director Del Gaudio.
Okay.
Again, Freeholder President, I just want to reiterate, I think it's a pretty fair request, and I think it's only the responsibility of the board that we continue this conversation, regardless of what the outcome is. You know, I wanted to bring it to the attention of everybody, because under the circumstances, you know, regardless of per diem, full-time, whatever the circumstances are, I just think that, you know, in fairness, we should all respond, but we want to respond with the administration, you know, in lockstep and make sure that we're all on the same page here.
Mm-hmm. So again, I'll leave the personnel issues on the side. I'll wait to receive. I'll wait to get the answer that was already given to the union, and then if we need to have another follow-up meeting, I'll wait for Freeholder Luciano for you to set up that meeting through our council and in the appropriate legal way. I will say that in that communication, which was sent to us, and I don't know if the county administration was CC'd on that, but and maybe I missed it, but I was unaware that we had a fatality of a healthcare worker in our system. And what was also highlighted in that email to all of us on the board is that you know, that hospital probably, in my opinion, our hospital and the workers there in particular, either see us or be recognized, and probably do deserve to be recognized in some manner. Not that they're, you know, more important than anybody else in the county, but it was highlighted that you know, it would be a boost to morale for the people that work there to see their elected representatives now that we're coming out of this crisis. And I think it's a fair point. And
Mr. President, I don't want to belabor the conversation, but just so you know, too, we did a number of things to honor the employees who work there. We did a similar thing that we did for Mountainside and some of the other hospitals with the drive-bys to honor them, special meals and so forth that we provided to some way to demonstrate our support for those workers. Which is not to say that the conversation that we're talking about now, the Freeholders Luciano is dealing with, but we did do a number of things to try to make sure they knew how much they were appreciated along the way. But again, understand the conversation. Happy to have it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you, Robert. I guess again, and there's no, my comments were really meant for the Freeholder board and not for the administration. So I think the correspondence we received, you know, pointed out that they would love to see some support, even visible support, from this board.
Through you, Mr. President, I'd like to say that in April, myself and Anthony Calandra from Calandras went half on 25 $200 gift cards for meals that we presented to 25 of the volunteer nurses that came back out of retirement to help when that pandemic was heavy. And we did that, and as a matter of fact, we went and presented it. So I am definitely for making sure that our frontliners are taken care of.
Through you, Mr. President.
Yeah, so I think that's great, and I think if we can, and maybe we should confer, and maybe we need to do something again specific to the nurses and healthcare workers that were in our county facility. I know we've done a lot throughout the county. The administration's been great. Again, but maybe we need to do a little more to make sure that our own folks know there in that healthcare facility, the ones who are active, whether they're per diem or not.
I agree with you, Mr. President, that we as a board, as a whole, we should do something for that particular facility. Makes sense. But the one thing I don't agree with you on is that we're coming out of it. I don't see that part.
Yeah.
Everything else you said, I'm in lockstep with you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I shouldn't say coming out. Maybe that was a misspoke. I agree. I don't say coming out. I meant now that it's at least maybe potentially, and everyone should do what they feel comfortable and healthy with. So no question.
Sure. Yeah.
No, everyone should be healthy, and no one should go anywhere that they don't feel that is a threat to their health. Absolutely.
Understood.
Maybe I'm too optimistic. I'm hoping. I think we'd all like to be coming out of it, but
sure,
the numbers are creeping up the wrong way.
Yeah, Freeholder President, I agree with your comments. I would love if we could come up with a way for us to show our support and appreciation. I would just add that the hospital center and employees that work there are a fantastic area for us to highlight. But there's some other areas like within corrections. Those other areas where, it's 24 hours and they don't always get to stay home or go home the way some of us that work is out the office. So if we're going to do something collectively, can we look at all of those areas? And I don't have an answer. I don't know what that we do, but it's certainly nice to be recognized because it's certainly easy for a lot of us to walk away and stay home because this whole situation is just so scary for a lot of us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. No question. Okay. I think we were moving through unfinished business and new business. Public comment. Madam Clerk.
This is for non-agenda items, and could you start the clock, please? This is from Sonia Maruthka, no address given. Hello, my name is Sonia Maruthka. I am emailing to express my outrage that Essex County continues to contract with ICE. You may have heard the news about the whistleblower complaint filed against Irwin Detention Center. It's the ICE facility in Georgia that has become notorious overnight for forcibly sterilizing women who are detained there. In case you didn't know, that is an act of genocide according to the United Nations Office on Genocide Prevention. However, the denial of health care to incarcerated people, particularly during the pandemic, is really what the whistleblower complaint was about. The complaint exposed the abuse and cruelty that is going on inside throughout the country. Essex County has its own history of denying health care to people in ICE detention, which has been well documented by multiple organizations over many years. The abuse and cruelty that is going on inside the U.S. immigration system, prisons, and jails is a product of an intentionally brutal and racist system that goes far beyond one facility. The question now is, will you have the courage to exercise your power to end this collaboration with ICE and terminate the contract? In recent responses to constituents, you addressed an error. You're making $11 million less this year from your ICE contract than last year. How many more immigrants do you want to detain to make up for the loss in revenue? The answer should be 0. Find another way to run Essex County that doesn't rely on incarcerating people for money. I look forward to your response. The same comment and questions were submitted by Suzanne Del Orto, Dylan Dubon, Robert Lawson, Kidney Clark, and Nicholas Carbonara. The last statement or comment for the non-agenda items was submitted by Sally Jane Gerlert of Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey. I note that you are extending a contract for recreational supplies for the county jail, and that is a decent thing to do, but it does not address the major concerns during a pandemic, or indeed anytime people are held in the jails, especially for extended periods, as ICE has done in Essex County and elsewhere. I appreciate your public information officer replying to my question from your meeting on September the 9th, but there was really not a lot of detail, just that your budget consultant had discussed the financial implications of ending the ICE contract with members of the administration, but not the details of that conversation or whether any conclusions were reached. To be honest, my concern is less about the financial aspects than about the humanitarian concerns when people are kept in prison for so long. When the county incentive is to maintain the contract and cut costs to balance the budget. As a New Jersey resident, heck, as a human being, I oppose the DHS policy of caging people, often separating families and in fact, disappearing them to avoid accountability for their actions. I realize that you yourselves do not enact these policies, but the county budget benefits from them. And I would like to see that source of revenue diminish immediately and eliminated as soon as possible. From whom can I find more information on the discussions between Francis McInerney and the administration? Can your clerk provide details? Also, this drawn-out conversation would be much more efficient if people would actually have two-way conversations with you at your meeting rather than submitting comments in advance and getting comments a couple of weeks later. Mr. President, that ends the comments we received.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. And you will be responding.
Yes, Mr. President, we'll respond to all comments in writing.
Freeholders, do we have any comments that you would like to make?
Through you, Mr. President. Freeholder Cooper, you may want to address this issue about the Zoom meeting that is scheduled for October 1st at 5 p.m. So folks can get an eye with Samuel Parakeet's Office Small Business and Affirmative Action for folks to find out how to do business with the county. Would you address that, Freeholder Cooper?
Sure. Thank you, Vice President Richardson. Vice President Richardson and I will be hosting a Learn How to Do Business with the County. We often are always asked, how do you become a vendor with the county? So we're hosting a conversation with Sam Parakeet and with Jay Poultry, the Director of Purchasing, on October 1st at 5 p.m. via Zoom. So we're putting together a flyer that'll go out over the next day or two to tell constituents, interested parties, how they can dial in to learn how to become a vendor with the county. So we'll give you some step-by-step instructions, and Mr. Parakeet, since he's the Affirmative Action Director, will be there to give us step-by-step instructions and to walk us through how you do business with us. So that's it, Mr. President, Vice President.
Thank you. So if any of you know of any small businesses who would be interested in doing business with the county, we'll get something to you through the clerk so that you can let these folks in your communities know that this Zoom meeting is going to take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Any additional comments, Freeholders?
Mr. President, I do.
Freeholder.
Thank you, sir. I just want to commend administration. Last Thursday was the 20th consecutive week that Essex County has provided an emergency food drive at various locations throughout Essex County. We've hit the majority of towns, all 22 of them, at least twice, or we're going to at least twice, and that will continue. And it's a very heartwarming experience for those of you who've gone to have lines of cars, 2 lines of cars, several blocks long. They come in, volunteers and staff dedicate their time, open trunks, put the box of food that contains, up to 15 meals, depending on the size of the family, and close the trunk, and the car moves on the way. And it's people of all walks of life. This pandemic hasn't discriminated at all. It's been universal. It's a little bit sad for me to see when people come in and they have a carload of kids and seniors and things of that nature. And I think it's very important that we do these things, either the silent programs, if you will, as public as it may be. We just go about doing business. And I want to commend the administration for doing so. Anthony Puglisi and Director Aníbal Ramos. And my apologies, I don't get everybody in it, but I think it's very important that this is something that we make great awareness of. Usually every Monday the notice is put out, so I'd encourage all of you to share it on your social media sites, because from my experience, having been to the majority of the ones that we've had, and you see the kind of cars that come through, it's not just people who are poor, it affects everybody, all kinds of income brackets and all walks of life. And so I do encourage you to share the word. People who are on the line are not necessarily thrilled to be there, but I think that Essex County does an exceptional job of making it a quality event, maintaining people's dignities during a difficult time. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. So I'd encourage each and every one of you, if you haven't done so, to spend some time on a Thursday morning. It varies from site to site, week to week. If you are willing to go out at this point, I know health is a major concern, but Essex County does an excellent job of that. And I thought it was important to bring that up. Thank you.
You're muted.
You're muted, Mr. President.
Thank you. Completely concur with that. And congratulations to the administration on the execution of the food bank and the testing sites, I would add as well. The county was way ahead of the curve on the testing sites and continues to be. And I think one of the few things that we know for sure, one of the very few things we know for sure about this pandemic is that testing and the data from that testing is the only thing that we can rely on to help us come out. So we continue to encourage people to get tested, whether you're symptomatic or not, every couple of weeks, and utilize our testing sites to do that. And the accessibility that the county has made that, I can even speak to that personally, that very quickly, all of a sudden, when you need a test and you need to find a test, the county, both the process is flawless, it's available, and it's convenient. And we were early. So really, kudos to everybody who had a hand in making that happen. And it saved lives. There's no doubt that it saved thousands of lives. Freeholder's additional comments? Motion to adjourn?
Yes, Freeholder President, I just.
Freeholder Cooper?
I just wanted to note that there's a TNVR committee meeting on October 8th at 3:30. It'll be set up via Zoom. So if people are interested, to contact the clerk's office and they can give them the link to get in via Zoom.
Okay. Freeholder, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
She got put on a